Hello everybody, Prepper003 here today with, as you can guess it by what's sitting in front of me here, another video for you. And this one is going to be another Preparedness Essentials video, and right now that is going to be water. And right now, since this is the second most important one of the series, I kind of struggled with it between shelter and water, because in a lot of adverse environments, most people can only last about 3 hours in these adverse environments without having some type of shelter. Well, on the flip side, you can only go 3 days without water. So right now I was just thinking about and the way I came about deciding it was that for the most of us, we can bug in, depending on where we are in the type of situation, but for the most part we can essentially bug in, which is a type of shelter already predominant to us. So that's why I went with water as the second most important thing for Preparedness Essentials. And right now there's a lot of different topics on water and on water filtration and everything. So right now I'm just going to discuss why water is important to you. And the main thing is going to be survival, being able to keep yourself hydrated and keep yourself mentally capable because of that extra hydration. Because depending on the situation, once you start to get dehydrated, you start to lose mental awareness, you start to lose the mental edge that you'll need to be able to survive these type of disaster situations. So right now I have a couple of different arrays of ways that you can prep for water and your water supplies that I'm going to talk about. Now, the biggest thing is having a pretty decent amount of water stored up, and this is where actually a couple of people that I know personally get kind of a different way of looking at it. Is that right now they view it as if they have a source of water, like a stream or a lake, that all they need to do is filter that water out and it'll be good. But there are some issues to where that water can become so diluted and so polluted that it doesn't become potable, I should say, or filtratable, to the point where, for example, if Yellowstone was to blow, all of the sulfuric acids and all of the sulfur inside of the ash that's going to be covering the nation will be getting into that water supplies and really diluting and making it to where, even with a lot of the really good filtration systems out there, like the Life Straw, for example, or some of the homemade systems that you can make, that still isn't going to be enough to filtrate out all of that sulfuric acids and things along those lines and get to the proper pH scale. So that's why I really wanted to touch on water storage. Now right now, according to a lot of different places that I've looked at online and a lot of different type of consensus, right now you want to have at least 1 gallon of water per person per day. Depending on the situation, you might need even more depending on how active you're going to be. But for the most part, you want to have about 1 gallon of water per day per person. So as you can tell, that adds up a lot over time, and for a lot of water that you'll need to have stored, especially if you have a larger family. So right now, having different ways of storing your water, for example, right now I have a 1 gallon juice container here, and right now I heavily clean this out with boiling hot water, and then also clean it out with some soap to make sure that it was extra clean. I also replace the water in here on a regular basis. So right now, whenever we drink a gallon of juice at our home here, we clean out the container and then we recycle it and use it as a extra method for storing water. We also do get bottled water on a regular basis, where we get a couple of cases of 16 bottles of water in per case, and then we store that upstairs, downstairs, and also a little bit in the basement. Now, I wouldn't recommend storing everything in the basement, just because if you are in a flood-prone area, that can flood and can damage your food and water preps. But just one thing. And now, with touching on to the floods, you do also that's another reason and another situation where the water situation can get diluted. But still, moving on to storage, not to get onto that, is that you can also store them in bug-out ready containers like canteens, as you see here, or inside of larger containers like this right here, to be able to quickly go and throw inside of a vehicle and still have a lot of water. I think this thing right here is a 5-gallon container, so we have a couple of these at our home that we can quickly throw into our vehicle to bug out. And I normally carry about one of these inside of my vehicle every other month. I'm cleaning it out and replacing that water with new water. Just because inside of a hot vehicle, the plastics inside of this container can leach into it and cause sorts of issues. Now that also touching with that is that whenever you have a long-term water situation for prepping, you want to recycle that out. Especially if you're having them in plastic containers like this, because the chemicals from the plastic can leach into the water, and over a long period of time, those chemicals that are in that water can eventually make you sick, and can, even depending on the type of plastics, be very effective at putting you down in a very sickly fashion. So just one thing to think about. Now another thing is that for water storage, I know that I don't have personally, just because I don't have the space at the moment, but that's 55-gallon drums. If you get a brand new one, you don't want to get a used one, depending, because a lot of them house very harsh chemicals. But getting a new one, filling one up a month or so, can prove a very, very beneficial thing for having a lot of water on hand. So that's just one thing that I want to eventually get, is a couple of those 55-gallon drums, especially because that's a lot of water that you can very quickly throw into the back of a truck, and have a couple of those in the back of a truck ready to go for your bug out location. Now, the next thing that I'm going to touch on, now that I kind of touched on storage and some of the pros and things that come along with that, is water filtration. Now, especially for having water filtration on the go, having a life straw, a Sawyer filter like this right here, knowing how to create a field-made filtration thing using some of the material around you, sand, rocks, dirt, and nothing along those lines, to get the extra bit of stuff. And then also using a canteen cup maybe to boil the water on hand as well is something that I've done, because especially whenever you're cooking food, having water on hand to be able to help cook that food and to drink to keep yourself, have that sharp mental attitude, is something that I think should be needed and should be kept on hand. That's why I like to diversify my water preps, rather than just being all 55-gallon drums, all bottled water, or having them all in canteens or something like that. I feel that diversifying it, having water filtration capabilities, and also having multiple different types of ways of filtrating the water is a good idea, and knowing how to filtrate that water as well. The last thing I have is I do have a, as I mentioned in other water promo videos, I have a Camelback. Right now it's in my patrol pack right now, which I don't really want to take the time having to take it out right now in front of the camera. So right now I just wanted to let you guys know that that's another method of way that I use to carry my water, is a Camelback as well, for inside of my patrol pack and inside of my bug out bag, as you guys have seen in my bug out bag video. So right now that's just pretty much a short, sweet, and simple version of it. I really want to hear how you guys think how much you should prioritize water on your levels of the preparedness essentials, and where you guys value water on that preparedness essentials. Like I said earlier, I know a lot of people don't think that water storage is a key essential for those preparedness plans, and some people think it is very needed, especially if you're in a very dry and arid area where there's not a lot of rain or water or running streams. Water storage should be a key essential there. So, like I said, I really want to hear what you guys think on water storage. If you guys have any other suggestions on water storage, I'm very open to hearing that, because I view water storage as like I said, a key essential. So I really want to hear different ideas on water filtration besides the Sawyer life straws by fire or by just UV light. So really, thank you. I appreciate you guys watching. I'm really looking forward to hearing your comments in the comment section below. And thank you. Remember, those that prepare for today survive tomorrow.